Welcome back to the Repurposing Business podcast, and I'm picking up on this theme about what you take with you into the future. This week's principle is simple. Don't let temporary things fill your hands so that you cannot carry capital. I hinted at this last time. Temporary things would be vegetables, leeks, onions, garlic, bread with yeast, and so on. Permanent things would be gold, silver, jewelry, things that would create a capital base for you as you go forward. So if your hands are full with delicacies, you don't have the space to take real assets with you. So at this time, we need discernment to figure out, just apply some smart thinking. Okay, what is a nice to have and what is going to build my capital base going forward? Keep your eye on capital preservation. There's a book out there called Money Won't Make You Rich by Sunday Adelaja. And Sunday pastors one of the biggest churches in Eastern Europe, in the Ukraine. He's a Nigerian guy. When last I checked, which was 10 years ago, that church had 25,000 people in Kiev. And I can assure you, when I went to Kiev in 1992, there were no churches with 25,000 people. But it's a church with quite a bit of influence. Once he got to about 15,000 people, God said to him one day, you know, you are worse than the unprofitable servant. He said, what do you mean, God? I'm pastoring a church with 15,000 people. He said, yes, but you live from hand to mouth. Offerings come in and they're consumed, they're used. You're not actually building any capital. At least the unprofitable servant, the guy who had the one talent and he buried it, you'll remember him. At least he preserved the capital. This is a principle for us as we're going through reStart. Watch out for the preservation of capital. Now, many will say cash flow is king, and they're right. It's important to stay liquid and to actually have cash flow. I'm not advocating, as I saw on one article written by a Christ follower saying, cash flow is king, so cut your payroll, get rid of your people. No, sometimes you as the leader have to stand in faith on behalf of your people. Sometimes you need to take the first pay cut. This is what servant leadership is about. It's not what the business books teach. But we also have to figure out how we can preserve capital, not just cash flow. And this is an important lesson for coming out of Egypt. I have another book called 10 Steps to Restoration, which I'll release at some point in the near future, hopefully. And one of the first steps there has to do with the restoration of capital. Make sure that you understand the difference between capital and working capital. If you need more on this, you can either read 2 Corinthians chapter 9, or you can read my book, 50 Principles for Faith-Based Financing, and you can understand these principles. But this is an opportunity, a reset time, a restart time, is to reevaluate capital and say, which capital, intellectual, social, relational, spiritual, and of course financial capital, do I need to preserve to take forward into the future? We'll speak some more tomorrow.